my contention is, when I was making it, it was like, you're making this film and the idea was that we're all responsible.
A film so raw, so unfiltered, and so spiritually charged that audiences walked out in silence. Some cried, some questioned everything, and some said they had never felt anything like it. But deep inside, everyone knew the truth. The story wasn't finished, because the Passion of the Christ showed us the cross, but not the victory. Now, Mel Gibson is returning with the Passion of the Christ 2, Resurrection, arriving in 2027. And what he's about to reveal may change everything we thought we knew. Before we go any deeper, leave a comment right now and tell us what you think Mel Gibson is planning. Your voice matters more than you realize. Now, let's begin. After the Passion exploded worldwide, Gibson stepped back. $600 million at the box office. Global shockwaves. But to him, the chapter felt closed. Until something began tugging on him. Not money, not pressure. A missing ending. He realized the world saw how Jesus died, but not why his death mattered. Not the tomb, not the victory, not the return. So Gibson began studying, researching, and writing in absolute silence. For 15 years, whispers floated around Hollywood, rumors spread online, but nothing was confirmed until now. And this is where Gibson overturns everything Hollywood thinks it knows. The Resurrection will not be a single movie. It will be 2 films, released exactly 40 days apart. Good Friday 2027. Ascension Thursday 2027. Why 40 days? Because Gibson wants the world to experience the story the same way the disciples did. Confusion, silence, doubt, waiting, transformation. The same 40 days between Christ's resurrection and his ascension, lived out in real time. This isn't entertainment. It's a spiritual experiment woven into cinema. Some call it bold, some call it reckless, but no one can ignore it. If you thought the Passion pushed boundaries, brace yourself. Because Gibson is attempting to show something no major film has ever depicted. Christ's descent into the realm of the dead. Not symbolically, not vaguely, but as a cosmic victory event. Imagine it. Souls waiting in darkness. Abraham, David, prophets who died centuries before the promise was fulfilled. A prison built by death itself. Then suddenly, a rupture of light. Chains snapping, gates cracking, an entire kingdom collapsing from the inside out. A sinless life entering death and poisoning it. The adversary realizing too late that the cross wasn't his victory, it was his defeat. Gibson calls this the most ambitious sequence of his entire career. Gibson calls this the most ambitious sequence of his entire career. And he wants the audience not just to see it, but to feel it. The Passion used ancient languages only, Aramaic, Latin, Hebrew. But the Resurrection will use both ancient languages and English, Aramaic for intimacy, Latin for authority, English for universality, because the Resurrection wasn't a secret. It was news meant for the world. Everyone assumed Jim Caviezel would return as Jesus. But Gibson shocked the world. He announced a completely new cast, a new Jesus, Jasper Packanen, new disciples, new Mary Magdalene. Why? Because Gibson believes the risen Christ should be encountered with fresh eyes, not nostalgia, revelation. The Passion was made for $30 million. The Resurrection? Over $150 million. One of the most expensive independent films ever attempted. Rebuilding ancient Jerusalem, creating the spirit realm, designing glorified bodies, depicting the ascension. Nothing about this film is small, not spiritually and not financially. The first film was known for strange, intense, almost supernatural occurrences. Lightning strikes, sudden conversions, moments no one could explain. Now, 20 years later, the whispers have returned. Cast and crew describing heavy atmospheres, emotional overwhelm, and scenes that felt different. One insider said, "We thought the Passion was intense, but this feels like we're stepping into spiritual territory." Part 1 begins the moment Christ breathes his last. Darkness falls. The veil tears. The ground shakes. Joseph of Arimathea steps forward. The tomb is sealed. Roman guards take their post. Silence settles over Jerusalem. Meanwhile, Christ descends into the realm of the dead. Part 1 ends with the stone rolled away, Mary Magdalene running, Peter and John racing, the empty tomb, the folded cloth, fade to black, and then 40 days of waiting. Churches across the globe are already planning study groups, community discussions, and events. Gibson doesn't want a movie release. He wants a movement, a global conversation, a worldwide reflection. Part 2 begins where the first ended. Confusion, fear, wonder. Then, the appearances begin. Jesus appearing in locked rooms, walking beside disciples who don't recognize him, cooking fish by the sea, speaking to the disciples, appearing to more than 500 witnesses. Familiar, yet transformed. Human, yet beyond human. And finally, the Mount of Olives, the blessing, the lifting, the cloud, the promise he will return. Fade out, not an ending, a beginning. Gibson hasn't confirmed anything, but insiders say he has hinted at a third film, one exploring the glorified Christ of Revelation. If true, the Passion wasn't part 1, it was part 0, and he's building the first cinematic trilogy of Christ. Suffering, resurrection, return. Why release this now, in the most skeptical generation in modern history? Because the world is starving for meaning, searching for truth, craving hope. Gibson once said, "This story was never meant to be watched. It was meant to be lived." And in 2027, millions will live it again. Good Friday, 2027. The stone rolls, the story continues, and nothing will ever be the same. Now it's your turn. Leave a comment below and tell us what you think. Is this Gibson's masterpiece? A spiritual experiment? A risky gamble? Or the beginning of the most ambitious biblical trilogy ever attempted? Your voice shapes the conversation. Like the video, subscribe, hit the bell, because if the whispers are true, this is only the beginning.